How are we doing, folks? Today we're going to be looking at this, the Osprey Exos 38. This is the 2018 version of this pack. If you're interested in the previous generation, I've done a separate video of that. If you're interested in a comparison between this one and the previous generation, I've also done a separate review of that. But what we're going to do is unpack this pack and repack it. If you're interested in the specs and all the key features of this pack that make it the Osprey Exos 38, again, another separate video. I'm trying to keep it all nice and compartmentalized so you can find all the information you need nice and quickly. But the idea of this is just to show you all the sorts of things you can fit in if you're going out for at least an overnighter. What I've got in here realistically could see me through 4 or 5 days on the trail, to be honest. I just need a little bit more food, I reckon. But let's just get down to it. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of why I've packed what I've packed, and if I'm honest, I probably would put some things in a slightly different order so that things like first aid kit would be a little bit higher. But what I've wanted to do is really just show you how everything fits in and what it looks like when it's packed. So, on the front then, these removable sleeping pad straps, I've actually put my tent in. This big blue blob is my Hilliberg Acto. Fantastic tent for camping in all weathers, all seasons. Absolutely love that tent. Separate review. Separate video. Check it out if you're interested. A little bit pricey, but really worth the investment. I've had that for several years now and I've never looked back after trying loads of one-person tents. Absolutely love it. We're going to start with this front pocket, so I'll unclip that. I've just randomly put in a mug. You never know when the mug cools. And then I've also got here, these are my flip-flops, so I just use them out and about around camp. I don't always take those, it's just quite nice to have them. This bag would normally actually be a dry bag, but I just couldn't find it, so I put it all in a plastic bag. Basically what we've got, spare gloves, spare hat, and just some fingerless gloves as well, and also a buff so I can keep my neck warm, and they're really nice and quick to access. And then I've also got this waterproof cover because the actual pack does not have a waterproof cover. Some people don't really like these, but I do like the Osprey version because it clips around the back and it's just not going to blow off. But if you are putting anything on the front, definitely get a size bigger, because if you put it on, you basically can't get it off again. So definitely go a little bit bigger than your pack recommends. Top pocket, let's flip that round for you. So in here I've got my compass with some pacing beads. There's no hip pocket on this rucksack, so I've had to put it there for now. I guess normally then I'd have it in a chest pocket or somewhere really nice and accessible, depending on the trail I'm doing and the navigation that's needed. I have a dry bag that has my wallet in and also a portable charger for things like GoPro batteries and also my phone. Phone's usually in my pocket or the hip belt, but I don't have one on this rucksack, so it'll be in my pocket. And the rechargeable charger can charge my phone kind of like 8 or 9 times, which is really ideal. Also in here then, I've got just some hand gel for hygiene purposes. I've got some sun cream, wishful thinking, and I have some heat rub for my trap, just because I get a bad back there. And that's literally it in the top pocket. So undoing that, into the mesh pocket. All I've got in here is my head torch, and I flipped around those batteries. This is the Petzl Actic, separate review, separate video, check it out. So I flipped around those batteries, just a nice tip, so it's never going to turn on when it's in my bag, to save those batteries, save power. So that's what I put in there. And then the main compartment, unzip that, unclip that. Straight away, nice and easy access to my waterproof. This is the Mountain Equipment Lhotse jacket. I really like it. It's got pit zips. It's a very popular jacket. I quite like the red so that if I'm actually leading a group, they can see me. It's just really nice. Having grown up trying to blend into the background with blacks and greens, I've kind of gone the opposite extreme, as I'm sure you can tell from my videos, where I'm oranges and blues and reds. So that's just a really great jacket. I love it. Then also I've got here just a pretty screwed up bag with my waterproof trousers in and ankle gaiters. If I'm not wearing ankle gaiters, they'll be in this bag. So they're also just really accessible. Nice tip with your waterproof trousers is to buy some that have a zip all the way up so you can actually ventilate. None of us like that sticky feeling you get on a humid day where you kind of need to wear them but you just can't breathe because it's really hot. So it's just a nice feature. It also means you can get them on and off without taking your boots off. So definitely have a look. If you need more waterproof trousers, have a look at getting some full zip ones. Next up, this is my food bag. As I say, I've literally just put enough in here for kind of 2 or 3 days. So I've got some main meals, couscous and some dehydrated ration packs. I've got breakfast, which is things like porridge, and then for lunch I've got various cereal bars and just high calorie kind of dried fruit stuff in there. So you can always supplement whatever you carry with things that you find on the trail. It's quite useful to know a little bit about wild foods, but definitely be careful if you're starting out with that. Next, this is my clothing bag. So I have got an extra layer in there, extra jumper. I've got an extra hat that I tend to sleep in. It's that bit woollier. I've got some clothes that I can sleep in as well. And that's literally it. So that's quite bulky. I think it's because the jacket's quite bulky, but I just keep that in a dry bag, keep it nice and protected. Up next, roll mat. That's the Thermarest Venture. It's doesn't hold its air very well anymore, but I do love it. It's a really great roll mat. Next up, my first aid kit. As I say, normally I'd have this right at the top, potentially in the top pocket. This is actually my mountain first aid kit, so it's pretty bulky. It's kind of divided into two parts. The first part's all my kind of medicines and paracetamol and all of that sort of stuff, and the second half's plasters, blister aid, bandages, all that sort of thing. So this is one I've made. There's no point having anything if I don't know how to use it, so everything in here I know how to use. Up next, this is all kind of in a line, I've just taken out in a really random order, is my jet boil. My optional extra, full of dirt, is a bowl that I put the couscous in, but I don't really need that if I had just dehydrated ration packs, because you cook them actually in the packet itself. But yep, jet boil flash sits in there, nice and compact. I've got just on the side a little lighter in case the igniter button thing goes on the bottom, so that's just a precautionary measure. I didn't actually know this was in here. This is my bivvy, so I tend to put this over my sleeping bag, just because in here I've got my summer sleeping bag. At the moment it's kind of the transition between using this one and a thicker one, so this kind of adds that extra layer of insulation around that. So that's my bivvy. It's really nice and light. It is quite bulky, and arguably I don't need it. I mean, you could use it as an emergency shelter, but then I have my tent. So these are kind of things that you can weigh up. But if you're on quite a popular trail such as Hadrian's Wall, or I don't know, the Southwest Coastal Path, it's quite unlikely really that you need it. But for me, it's just a nice extra to put around my sleeping bag. Wash kit, literally got a compact towel and toothbrush, toothpaste, just that sort of stuff. Pretty small, fortunately can't do without that. And then finally at the bottom is this, my sleeping bag. So that's my summer sleeping bag. It's a really old one from Blacks. It's losing all of its down. Inside of that's the liner itself as well. I've just got this compression sack around it to keep it nice and tight, and I obviously put that at the bottom because it's the last thing I really need when I'm setting up my tent. So that's my sleeping bag. I have this trekking pole which I might just take and keep on the side, and then in the side pockets itself I have one water bottle and one flask of coffee, arguably the most important thing. So that's everything I managed to fit in here. You saw what that looked like when it was fully packed, but that's what I'm going to do now, is just put it all back in so you can see that, and then I'll leave you to make your own conclusions as to whether this is the pack for you. So there you have it guys, everything I've managed to fit in the Osprey Exos 38 2018 lightweight multi-day backpacking pack. Got my stick on the side, I'm ready to go. Until next time guys, stay wild.